The studio lights cast a warm glow on the polished desk as the live broadcast began. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sat composed, yet her eyes carried a spark that hinted at something deeper. Viewers across the nation were expecting a discussion on standard political topics, maybe a few jabs at rivals. I bet no one was prepared for what was coming. The host greeted her, trying to keep the mood light. But Jasmine wasted no time. She leaned slightly forward, her tone calm yet electrifying. Greater than I've reviewed some sealed legal records. What I found is troubling. Melania Trump's marriage wasn't based on love, it was a contract, a transaction, signed, dated, and enforced. The host froze. Cameras kept rolling, but you could hear a pin drop in the room. Gasps echoed from the crew off camera. Even seasoned producers watching from the control room were left speechless. On social media, the explosion was instant. Within seconds, hashtags like #contractmarriage and #MelaniaFiles shot to the top of trending charts. People weren't just shocked, they were demanding to see the evidence. Questions flooded the internet. Was Melania forced into a political partnership? Was love ever part of the equation? The moment was historic. Jasmine hadn't just made a claim, she had cracked open a narrative that had been carefully built and protected for over a decade. Millions watched as the foundations of an iconic marriage began to tremble. Backstage at a sleek Manhattan studio, Melania Trump sat in a designer cream suit, mink-lipped, waiting for her charity segment to go live. The plan was simple: promote her upcoming event, smile gracefully, and keep it light. She had done it hundreds of times before, but this time a broken bar, something was different. Unbeknownst to her, just moments earlier on another network, Jasmine Crockett's bombshell about her marriage had hit the airwaves like a freight train. Producers in Melania's control room were scrambling, phones ringing non-stop as the explosive clip circulated like wildfire across media platforms. A young assistant, pale and sweating, approached Melania mid-makeup touch-up and leaned close, whispering urgently into her ear. Melania blinked, then blinked again. Her expression stiffened. The calm, collected mask she wore so effortlessly began to crack as she processed what had just been said. The live feed cut to her. Cameras rolled. She tried to smile, but instead of grace, she stuttered. Greater than good. A broken bar evening. Yeah, broken bar. I'm happy to, speak about a broken bar. Children, a broken bar. Her voice wavered. Her hands trembled slightly as she tried to steady her breath. She glanced to her right, clearly shaken, the carefully scripted lines slipping from memory. The host offered a soft question, attempting to redirect her to the planned topic, but Melania didn't respond immediately. Suddenly, with a sharp edge in her voice, she snapped, "Greater than this is a lie. I don't have to explain my marriage to anyone." The studio went silent. Her voice had cracked, loud, emotional, unfiltered. Viewers watched in shock as her usual elegance gave way to something raw and real: fear, perhaps a broken bar or the weight of secrets being dragged into the light. The network quickly cut to commercial, but the moment was already out there. In just 24 seconds, Melania had unraveled on live TV, confirming an emotion what no document could say outright. Screenshots were everywhere. Commentators were already dissecting every gesture, every blink, every misplaced syllable. A storm had begun, and Melania was in the eye of it. By dawn the next day, every major news network had abandoned their scheduled programming. The fallout from Jasmine Crockett's revelation and Melania's live TV breakdown had grown into a political and cultural earthquake. Across cable channels and podcasts, analysts scrambled to make sense of it all. Was it true? Was the former First Lady's marriage really a negotiated deal? Legal experts appeared on split screens, zooming into old public records, dissecting Melania's body language, and playing back the 24-second meltdown in slow motion, a frame by agonizing frame. Inside Washington, reactions were even more intense. Republican strategists were livid, calling Crockett's move an unthinkable invasion of privacy. But others, especially progressive voices and media watchdogs, praised her for what they saw as fearless truth-telling. Jasmine Crockett, meanwhile, remained composed. In back-to-back interviews, she didn't backtrack. Instead, she sharpened her message: greater than if someone profits from a public image built on deception, The public has a right to know the truth. I'm not attacking her as a woman. I'm exposing a system of manipulation. Clips of Jasmine's statements went viral. A short video of her saying truth doesn't need protection. Lies do was viewed over 12 million times in just 6 hours. Outside Trump Tower, protesters gathered as some waving signs that read contract marriage equals political fraud, while others defended Melania fiercely, chanting leave her alone. The divide was sharp, emotional, and getting uglier by the hour. Behind the scenes, Trump's team was silent. No official statements, no tweets, no denials. The absence of defense only added fuel to the speculation. Meanwhile, Jasmine's team confirmed she had more documents and if necessary, she was ready to release them. The game had changed. This was no longer just gossip. It was a national moment, one that was tearing through carefully manufactured facades with frightening speed. Just when the media storm seemed at its peak, a new shockwave hit. Late that evening, an anonymous email landed in the inboxes of 3 major newsrooms. Attached were scanned copies of what appeared to be pages from a 2005 prenuptial agreement between Donald Trump and Melania. The documents were dense, heavily redacted in places, but what was visible was enough to ignite a full-blown firestorm. Clause after clause outlined terms not typically seen in a traditional marriage agreement: performance-based bonuses, scheduled public appearances, strict image control stipulations, and perhaps most damning, a section detailing media silence expectations in the event of divorce. Legal analysts pounced on the leak. The New York Times published a rapid breakdown of the document, and within hours, CNN brought in a former White House ethics lawyer who stated bluntly, "Greater than this isn't just a prenup, it's a PR contract. And if genuine, it supports Jasmine Crockett's claims in shocking detail." The reaction was seismic. Melania's defenders fell quiet. Her critics grew louder. Social media feeds exploded with commentary, memes, and conspiracy theories. Trending hashtags included #MarriedForMoney, #Melania Contract, and even #First Lady for Hire. In Florida, the gates of Mar-a-Lago remained shut. No statements, no tweets, no denials. Silence hung heavier than ever. And then came Jasmine's move, one that stunned even her supporters. Without warning, she tweeted a single image, a close-up of a paragraph from the leaked prenup. The caption read, "Greater than you can't gaslight a nation forever." Truth leaves paper trails. It was a mic drop moment. Pundits on both sides of the aisle were forced to acknowledge that something serious had been unearthed, something too calculated, too transactional, too exposed to ignore. In the days that followed, Melania canceled all public appearances. Donald Trump refused all interview requests. For the first time, the facade of perfection that had surrounded them for years wasn't just cracked, it was crumbling. And at the center of it all stood Jasmine Crockett, no longer just a fiery congresswoman, but the symbol of fearless confrontation in an age of carefully packaged lies.